when we go hiking and trekking, our goal is kind of to create a home away from home and increase our level of comfort, kind of like if we would be here, with warmth and shelter from the weather. So, of course, the important part of this is the tent or whatever thing we choose to build our campsite and where we're going to sleep. So there are many different ways you can go about building a shelter. I mean, from the basic stuff is just to cut down some trees, put the trees up against each other and some branches around, and you will have protection from the wind and from at least some of the rain. But most of the time it's going to be well worth to just carry our own shelter with us. So I mean there are, like I said, a lot of options. I have two different options that I could choose between, but when my fiance is with me, it's really only the tent that is the real option, but I thought I would just show you. This one is a hammock, and the hammock is meant to be strung up between two trees. You tie it up and you get sort of a bed in the air, hanging in the air, and then above the hammock you put up a tarp like a tent over it to protect from the rain and the wind. Now when you're lying in a hammock, there's only a bit of, I mean the sleeping bag will be compressed to be very thin because you're lying on it, and there's only the cloth of the hammock, which is not very thick, so there's very little insulation. So there is a space inside of the hammock to put a sleeping mat in sort of a pocket that goes through. So then I have an inflatable sleeping mat that I put inside of the hammock. The benefit of this is, first of all, if I know that I'm going to an area with trees, then I don't need any poles. I mean, I have these are extra lightweight ones to secure the tarp into the ground. If there are no trees, I can put up the tarp with these aluminum poles, put them in the ground, and I can get the tarp just waterproof and windproof on top of me. But if there are no trees, I have to carry these ones with me, and they're going to be a bit more weight. And carrying weight makes me tired, so I don't want to do that unless I don't have to. So that's the benefit of the hammock, is that I can just tie it up between two trees, if there are trees. And then I can save some weight in what I carry. I could make this even more lightweight, because I could just take the tarp. This is a very lightweight tarp, but I mean I could just bring this, and this is like this part of the tent, the upper part. So it's just half of that is the tarp, and I could just ignore the hammock part, and I could just take the sticks and put the tarp up anywhere I want, just to get some protection from the rain, and then I can just sleep on the ground under the tarp. If I want to go super lightweight, that would be an option. The tent is a lot more heavy. This one weighs about 1.5 kilos, the hammock, whereas the tent weighs 3.5 kilos. And with the tents I always have to carry the sticks that will provide the shape to hold it up. This tent is Urberg. It's one of the cheaper. It's a cheap brand, which means that, I mean, it's a good quality tent, but because it's a cheap brand, the fabric, the nylon or polyester fabric that the tent is made up of, is quite a thick one and stiff. And that means that this is going to weigh a lot more than it needs to. I could probably, I mean, this weighs 3.5 kilos. You could probably get a similar tent for 2 kilos weight, but then the cost of this is around 2,000 crowns, whereas the cost of a lightweight tent would be 6, 7, maybe even 10,000 crowns. And I'm not really ready to pay that amount of money for a tent, to be honest. So I will suffer the weight of this tent rather than spend the money. Who knows, if we start camping a lot, then maybe we can buy something better. But this we'll have to do until then. Now this is a 3-man tent, even though there's only 2 of us. And the reason why I went for a 3-man, even though it's a little bit heavier, is because we can take the backpacks into the tent and have room for that. So that if it's raining, we can do that to help keep everything dry and keep our clothes dry. And yeah, so in my opinion, it's worth the extra weight just to be able to have the extra comfort once you set up camp. But I mean, it's a trade-off. Do you want to carry more when you're walking and then be more relaxed when you're not walking? Or do you want to carry less when you're walking and then suffer a little bit when you're set up camp and go to sleep? I guess it's a personal preference. In my opinion, it's better to have some more room. Of course, in the hammock you don't have any room at all. So that one is just to save weight. And I mean, it works really well. I've only tried it on a couple of occasions, but yeah, it's great, and you get a good night's sleep. So it's not really that big of a deal. Now, after you set up your tent, you need to have something to lie down on. I mean, even in the hammock, you have something to fill it up underneath to provide you an insulating layer of air underneath. It's not one of the purposes is the insulating part, where you have air that is still and helping you to not get chilled from the ground. The other part is that it will provide you with some comfort because it's soft. I mean, it's an air pillow that you're lying on, an air mattress, so it's going to be more comfortable to sleep. And you will wake up feeling more rested, and you can do more the next day. So this lightweight air mattress is what I bought to have with the hammock, and it's very compact, which is nice because when you blow it up, I mean, when you fill it with air, it's going to be bigger and you can lie down on it. But it's nice to have something that is this compact because it will fit inside of your backpack. What I bought for us is, clear the space. When I will go out with my fiance, we will have these kind of thermarest copies. So they look like this, and they are fully blown up. So the downside of these is, first of all, they're only 5 centimeters thick. So you don't get that much comfort with an inflatable air mattress. You get you can get it thicker and more comfortable. On the other hand, these are self-inflatable, which means that you have a valve here at the end, and you just open it, and it will. There's a foam inside of the mattress that it will just pop up and sort of suck in air to inflate itself, and then you can just blow some air in after to make it really expand at the end. But yeah, this is the benefit of having this foam is, first of all, that you don't have to blow and blow and blow to get. I mean, it's quite exhausting sometimes to blow up an air mattress. And the second part is that because of this foam, you're going to have more insulation from the ground, which means that you will stay warmer. And staying warm is very important, no matter what season you are. Because even in the summer, the ground is going to be a bit cold. So yeah, it's great to have. That's the main reason why I bought those. But the downside is that once you roll these up to when you carry them with you, they don't really. You can't compress them that much because there's this foam in them that it's not as compressible. With the air mattress, I mean, if you compare the size, this one is going to be a lot easier to just put in your backpack and it disappears. And then, if you can put it in your backpack, you can have a rain cover in your backpack that goes down to protect your rucksack from rain. But when you have this, the rain cover doesn't cover your bag because it's in the way. So you have to pack your bag accordingly. And what it means for us is that we have these stuff sacks, and these are waterproof. So even though we don't have a rain cover outside of the bag, we're going to put our clothes in stuff sacks like this, and then the clothes will stay dry even if the bag gets wet from rain. And then, of course, I mean, if you want to talk ultralight, you want to talk about carrying weight, the stuff sacks, they weigh a bit. And this one weighs more than this one. So you're going to have more weight with this system to carry around than with this one. And then again, is it really worth the extra comfort when you have to carry the extra weight? Is it worth getting tired from having the extra stuff in your backpack compared to the extra warmth and comfort during the night that you get? I'm not really sure, to be honest. I guess we have to try it out and see. But this is the model that I have opted for, and yeah, we just have to try it out and see. The good part about having this rest like this is that when you pack your backpack, the backpack, or when you need to get something out, you take it down from your back. This one will help keep it steady, so you can stand up on its own. And so, I mean, that is an added benefit of this. I guess it's a minor benefit, but it's still an added benefit. So what I will do when I pack my backpack is I will put the tent in these outer pockets. Because the first thing you want to do when you set up camp is you want to get some shelter from rain and wind. Especially if it's raining, you want to put up the shelter so that you can keep yourself dry when you start taking the other things out of your bag. So the tent should go in a place where it's easily accessible the first thing you do. So either at the top or on the outside like this. And then once you're inside the tent, you're in a dry place, you can start accessing your dry things. The one thing that I haven't quite figured out yet is what to do with the sleeping bags. Because even in the summer, when you're lying down on your thermarest or your inflatable air mattress, you want a sleeping bag to keep you warm and comfortable. Just like you want some sort of cover when you're sleeping in your own bed. And I've opted for sleeping bags. There are 3-season versions. So you can get very thin sleeping bags that aren't really warm and they don't weigh a lot. And that's 1 season, they're only good during the summer. Or you can get 3-season that are warm, and you can have them in the spring and autumn as well. Or you can get a 4-season bag which can endure temperatures to -20 or something, and you can sleep outside even in the middle of winter. But I don't think we will go sleeping in the forest in the middle of the winter in -20 degrees. So I bought these 3-season bags. And just like with clothes, you have the option of natural versus synthetic fiber. And the natural part, what you would get is a down feather sleeping bag. The benefit of the down feather is that it's lighter than the synthetic fiber and it's warmer. The bad part is that if the down gets wet, I mean birds, they keep putting fat on their feathers to keep them waterproof, but when you have a down sleeping bag, there's no fat on the feathers anymore, which means that they can get wet, and when they get wet, it's just cold. It doesn't work anymore, because it doesn't have the fat that the birds would normally put there. So if you experience any kind of wetness, the synthetic fiber is better, and it will also dry up faster if you get wet. So therefore synthetic fiber is what I think is best in Sweden, because we have water everywhere. So the other thing about these is I chose this particular model. It's the Haglöfs Zensor. I don't think they make these anymore actually. But the reason I chose this model is because you can zip 2 bags together. So you can use the zipper in the sleeping bag to connect it to the other sleeping bag, and you get 1 big sleeping bag for 2 people. And of course 2 people are going to give some warmth and comfort to each other that you can't get if you're just alone in a sleeping bag. So yeah, that's the main reason. It's easier to stay warm, and it's very nice. Now, when you pack the sleeping bag, there's one more thing to consider. Because this sleeping bag is packed in one of these compression bags. So you put it in a sack like this, and you can just keep pulling in these strings to compress it and make it smaller and smaller and smaller, so that it will fit into your backpack, fit more easily, and you can fit more things in your backpack. Now honestly, I don't think you want to fit more things in your backpack because you want your backpack to be as light as possible, right? You don't want to carry that extra weight of more things. So this stuff sack, it also weighs 140 grams in itself. So 140 grams, in 10 steps you're lifting 1.5 kilos. In 100 steps you're lifting 15 kilos. In 1,000 steps you're lifting 150 kilos. Which, I mean, normally if you go hiking you would probably walk 10, 20, 30, 100,000 steps. You're gonna spend a lot of energy just carrying this stuff sack, which probably isn't worth it. So, the good thing about the Osprey backpacks, let's see if I can show this in a good way. They have, you can open the bottom like this to put the sleeping bag in. And not only that, they also have this extra wall in here. I'm not sure how visible it is, but there is an extra wall in there to sort of separate your backpack from the rest of your pack, or your sleeping bag from the rest of your backpack. So that means that since this wall is here, even when the backpack is empty, you can just stuff your sleeping bag in here and use this part as a sort of like one of these compression bags. So in my backpack I have a sleeping mat, which, by the way, this is in a bag now because that's the way I bought it, but normally you just carry the mat. You don't carry this. There's no point at all of having a bag like this unless you keep it in your car. Anyway, sleeping mat. So in here I just have the sleeping bag stuffed like so. I just stuff that in, close it up, and I can fill it up from here with yeah, I guess you can't really see that well, but there's a wall in there that separates the sleeping bag from the rest of the compartment. What I haven't figured out yet is that this is not entirely waterproof, which means that the sleeping bag currently is not waterproof, and you want to make sure that you're sleeping in a dry place. And normally you'd have the rain cover to cover your backpack when it's raining, but we are using these. So we can't really put the rain cover on. So I have to figure out something for that, and I guess what we will do is probably to put just a plastic bag or something in here, to stuff the sleeping bag in a plastic bag. Yeah, I need to think about that, because I haven't really... Because I used this when I was on my own, there was never any problem for me to waterproof my rucksack from rain. But with these new thermarests, I have to figure out something to how to waterproof the bag. But I mean, yeah, it's an easy problem. If I end up having to pick a plastic bag of some sort to put around the sleeping bag, then I guess I'm back to using a weight like this stuff sack again. But sleeping in a dry place is very, very important. So it's going to be worth carrying a little bit of extra weight just to get that. So when we get to our camping site, when we have selected our camping site, we put up the tent, we put in the sleeping mats, and we put up the sleeping bag. And you do that, the first thing you do, because the fibers in the sleeping bag have been compressed for a long time. So they need to get some time to expand so that you have a thick layer of air around you when you sleep to have the maximum comfort. So that's the first thing you do when you set up camp. And then you can delve into the rest of your backpack and start making food and whatever else. Yeah, so I guess that is all I need to say about sleeping arrangements.